Coming up on Around San Diego, the very latest on the small plane that crashed through a neighborhood and into a Tierra Santa home. What we know about the victims on board and on the ground. And a U.S. Navy sailor is facing serious consequences after allegedly making a false bomb threat. What his family has to say. Plus, some Golden Hill residents are saying, "Not in my backyard," to an apartment building that is set to go up in the area. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us as we take you around San Diego. I'm CBS 8's Jenny Day, and I'll get you caught up on a week's worth of news, and we'll look ahead in less than 30 minutes. We do begin with that plane that crashed into a Tierra Santa neighborhood. All 6 people on board that small plane are presumed dead. Music agency Sound Talent Group says 3 employees, including the co-founder, died in the crash. 8 people on the ground were hurt. Now, we have learned that jet took off from Teterboro, New Jersey, made a fuel stop in Wichita, Kansas, and was believed to be heading home to Montgomery Field. But instead, the National Transportation Safety Board says it hit power lines and crashed into that house. Now, music agent Dave Shapiro and drummer Daniel Williams again are believed to have died in the crash. We've reviewed 3 Instagram stories shared by Williams, and the number on the tail of that jet shown in the post matches the same number listed on the FlightAware under the aircraft's information. Live Nation San Diego posted that their hearts are forever broken. And a U.S. Navy sailor is facing serious consequences after allegedly making a false bomb threat aboard a plane at San Diego International Airport. It happened Tuesday on a flight about to take off for Hawaii. CBS 8's Abby Black talked with the sailor's family and learned he was not headed for vacation, but on assignment.
I briefly spoke on the phone with the wife of the U.S. Navy sailor, electronic technician John Stea, and she was clearly distraught. Through her emotions, she told me that this entire incident, in her own words, is a big misunderstanding. Tense moments captured on passengers' cell phones show U.S. Navy sailor John Stea being escorted off Hawaiian Airlines Flight 15 by federal agents yesterday morning.
I could tell he was, on something, drunk or high or something of some sort, because he had that look about him. And he laughed. He was laughing as he fell down and then got back up.
What began as a routine departure to Honolulu quickly escalated into a full-scale security incident as the plane pulled away from the jetway. Harbor police confirm Stea allegedly told flight attendants the passenger seated next to him had a bomb. The threat triggered immediate evacuation of all 293 passengers, a comprehensive security sweep with bomb-detecting K9 units, and a 5-hour delay.
We saw him before we got on the plane. He had dropped his luggage, and then he was stumbling everywhere, and he was just being weird.
Military records show that Stea enlisted in 2009 and has received standard awards, including Good Conduct medals. The Navy confirms that Stea was traveling on official orders to a scheduled training exercise in Hawaii. Retired military Judge Jeremiah Sullivan, now a civilian military trial attorney, says this incident could derail everything.
If he was heading to Hawaii for work and now he doesn't show up because of a criminal prosecution, the fact that he was detained, charged, and it could have had a certainly detrimental impact on his command on the mission, their training mission, or whatever they were doing. Again, it's not career enhancing.
The immediate consequences are already mounting. Harbor police are planning to forward the case to the city attorney's office, recommending misdemeanor charges for making a false security threat and violating county airport code. If convicted, Stea faces up to 1 year in jail, but the military penalties could be far worse.
Will he keep his security clearance? They can take his clearance. They can move him out of his job. Depending upon what he does, he can be removed from his command and to be subject to administrative processing, being separated from the Navy.
Harbor police say that Stea was initially cited and released with a promise to appear in court, but the Navy has since taken him into custody. The Transportation Security Administration could also place him on a federal no-fly list. In downtown, Abby Black, CBS 8.
Abby, thanks. Well, we are now hearing from a Good Samaritan in Chula Vista who says helped arrest one of the suspected smugglers involved in that deadly panga incident there in Del Mar. 3 people died. A 10-year-old girl is also presumed dead. CBS 8's David Godfredson talked with the man who helped tackle one of the suspects and got video of that arrest.
We could see a gentleman running, and we didn't know what he was running from until we seen 2 other gentlemen coming after him.
Surveillance video shows Border Patrol and Homeland Security agents in a foot chase with a suspected smuggler on the evening of May 5th on Flower Street in Chula Vista.
So my nephew sprung into action real quick, tackled him, and I helped him to hold him down when these other 2 gentlemen came up, which were undercover police officers.
This neighbor did not want to be identified because the man arrested that night is accused of being involved 14 hours earlier in a deadly panga boat smuggling operation off Del Mar. The video shows 31-year-old Sergio Rojas Fregoso being led away in handcuffs.
They were looking for a little girl at the time, and that's what the police were really asking this guy.
The 10-year-old girl is still missing and presumed dead. Her 14-year-old brother died on the beach along with 2 other adult passengers on the boat.
It's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking, but in a way I am glad that my nephew did take that dangerous action to stop a criminal that was involved in a murder. To me, that's a murder, a senseless act of violence on people.
Rojas appeared in federal court today where he waived his right to a bail hearing and will remain in custody. He's accused of assisting the migrants who made it to shore and taking them to Chula Vista. Agents arrested 2 others that night on Flower Street and recovered 7 of the boat passengers, according to court records. The 2 alleged boat pilots are facing much more serious charges that could result in the death penalty. So of the 5 defendants charged in this incident, 4 remain in custody, including the 2 men accused of being the boat pilots. All of them will be back in court on June 3rd. At the federal courthouse, David Godfredson, CBS 8.
David, thank you. And the Trump administration has agreed to pay $5 million to the family of Ashley Babbin, a San Diego woman killed by U.S. Capitol Police during the January 6th Capitol attack as she attempted to break into the House Speaker's lobby. Babbitt's family had filed a wrongful death lawsuit seeking $30 million. Now, while prosecutors announced a settlement earlier this month, details were only recently disclosed. The officer involved was previously cleared of criminal wrongdoing. And the Capitol Police chief expressed strong disagreement with the settlement, stating this settlement sends a chilling message to law enforcement nationwide, especially to those with a protective mission like ours, end quote. Well, some relief may be in sight for South Bay residents from the cross-border sewage crisis. A long-awaited expansion of the South Bay International Wastewater Treatment Plant could be finished very soon. CBS 8's Chris Groh reports from Imperial Beach.
And so the timeline has been accelerated. We're hearing now that federal agencies are ordering that it go from a 2-year timeline to 100 days. And we have reaction from both the mayor of Imperial Beach as well as the mayor of Chula Vista. Take a listen.
I'm feeling very positive that now he's putting attention to this. We need a lot more attention, a lot more support, because we're not there yet.
We want everybody in the South County to have a high quality of life. And when you have that sewage issue, it affects everybody.
And this order for an accelerated timeline is shortly after we had EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin in San Diego County in this region to go ahead and get an idea and see the issue of cross-border pollution up close and personal. Now, as for the treatment plant, it is going to be expanded to treat 35 million gallons of cross-border wastewater a day. That's up from 25 million gallons a day. But there are even more upgrades that are scheduled to happen, which will help the plant stay online and prevent it from going offline, which is currently plaguing that plant and this area. But the leaders that you just heard from, Imperial Beach Mayor Paloma Aguirre, as well as Chula Vista Mayor John McCann, have both said that more needs to be done, that there are other things that need to be improved. In fact, there are other things that need to happen on the other side of the border as well, too, in Mexico. And then, of course, this issue just continues to highlight the importance of that empty seat for District 1, the Board of Supervisors. When you see that you have the mayor of Imperial Beach going up against the mayor of Chula Vista, voters will get to decide later this summer. Back to you.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted on those results. Well, meantime, new data shows the number of people experiencing homelessness in San Diego County has gone down. The Regional Task Force on Homelessness released numbers from its 2025 point-in-time count. Now, in January, 1,700 volunteers hit the streets to talk to those living without stable housing. They found about 9,900 people throughout the region, down from 10,600 last year. Then 5,700 of those counted were unsheltered, while nearly 4,200 were in shelters or transitional housing. And county supervisors unanimously approved a strengthened version of an unsafe camping ordinance. The goal is to prevent wildfires caused by encampments in unincorporated areas. Modifications include banning the use of open fires or discarding lit cigarettes, prioritizing moving people out of high fire risk areas, and adopting a notification period for those who might be impacted. Law enforcement could only cite someone if the violation poses an imminent risk. Well, the Golden Hill neighborhood is bracing for an 8-story apartment building going up on 3 empty lots there on A Street. The building will have 180 apartments. At the first of 2 public meetings held in the developer, Cedar Street homeowners in the area expressed concern over parking and destroying the charm of the neighborhood.
It's totally predatory capitalism. They don't care at all about the community. They don't care what they're going to do. They just want to make as much money as they possibly can.
Yeah, developers from Cedar Street refused to speak to CBS 8 on camera. Construction on the project has not yet started, but the developer says it will take 26 months to complete. Studios will be priced around $1,800 per month. Well, San Diegans might notice more mosquitoes this season. The city ranks 39th on Orkin's 2025 Mosquito Cities list. More than just annoying, mosquitoes are the deadliest creatures on Earth, spreading diseases like West Nile and Zika. To stay safe, experts recommend the bite protocol. Wear long sleeves and EPA-approved repellent. Use tight-fitting screens, trim vegetation, and eliminate standing water. Even a thimble of water that size, can become a breeding ground for them. Well, coming up on Around San Diego, why the Golden State is no longer the golden standard for renters and certain retirees. Well, fixing and restoring the Oceanside Pier is going to take longer than expected. A fire tore through the end of the pier last year, destroying the vacant former home of Ruby's Diner and Brine Box. Now, the rubble and debris have since been removed, but reconstruction might not start now until fall of 2026. That's because the city of Oceanside says it is working with the former restaurant's tenant to finalize construction plans. The permitting process could then take another year, but locals don't seem to mind.
Really a problem to us as long as it gets done right.
That's all I have is patience. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't rush progress.
You know, good attitude. Repairs to the pier itself will cost around $17 million. Well, the sacrifices of military service are undeniable, but a new report paints a troubling picture for those who have served and returned to California. Wallet Hub's latest study shows the Golden State as one of the worst for military retirees. CBS 8's Brian White takes a closer look at why that is.
Yeah, ranking number 40 on this list is not where we want to be, especially with San Diego being such a big military town. So let's take a look at the reasons why. They served their country with honor, but for many veterans, life after the military is a new kind of battle. And according to a new Wallet Hub report, California isn't making that fight any easier.
Where California struggled the most was in the economic environment.
The state ranks 40th in the nation when it comes to supporting military retirees based on factors like cost of living, housing, job opportunities, and quality health care.
49th overall in the cost of living, 50th in housing affordability.
San Diego, home to one of the largest military populations in the country, is feeling the impact firsthand.
Unfortunately, I wasn't prepared for a civilian life, and I found myself living in my car.
Dr. Dustin Potash is an Army combat veteran serving 12 years, including a deployment in Iraq. He now helps fellow vets at Veterans Village of San Diego.
Cost of living is super high and not many available places. So you're always fighting with the next person who's trying to get the same place that you are.
California also fully taxes military retirement income, one of the few states that offers no exemptions.
If you're in the military or part of a military family, this is definitely one of the things you should look at.
While California does invest heavily in VA services, ranking number 8 in spending per veteran, the system still ranks 40th in quality. And as far as homelessness, we're among the worst for highest percentage of veterans in our homeless population. Dr. Potash says the transition from military to civilian life can feel like a free fall for many veterans. That's why he's turned his own experience into action.
I got into this position and working with veterans exactly because of that. I don't want to see someone go through what I went through if I can help it.
Wallet Hub's top-ranked states for military retirees include South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Maryland, all offering tax breaks and lower living costs. Brian White, CBS 8.
We can do better, right? Brian, thank you. Still ahead, a new report shows San Diego is sinking. Welcome back. San Diego is one of more than 24 cities that are sinking. In this Earth 8 report, CBS 8's Evan Narani explains the catastrophic risk it poses.
New York, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and San Diego are just a few of the 28 cities named in a new study pointing to hotspots of land subsidence. Researchers from Virginia Tech say the slow and gradual sinking of Earth's surface threatens the infrastructure of buildings, roads, and bridges.
So correct policies in place is the first step, and also education, but also engineering solutions provide an inexpensive solution to this problem. So one of the key is managed aquifer recharge.
The top drivers impacting how fast the cities are sinking are long-term groundwater mining and oil and gas extraction. In some cases, it's leading to subsidence rates of several inches per year.
Climate change is a major factor together with the population growth. When we have climate change, often seasons get drier, we have less supply of the surface water, and groundwater become the to-go solution for potable water, agriculture, industry, and so on.
It echoes a study from last year out of Northwestern University, citing climate change as the leading factor in Chicago's sinking.
Based on the result of this study, we show that underground climate change is a potential threat for the so-called operational performance of civil infrastructure, for the function of civil infrastructure and the aesthetic requirements of civil infrastructure, not for their failure.
Researchers say that infrastructure can be silently compromised over time, with damage only becoming evident when it's severe or potentially catastrophic. Making things worse, the risk is often exacerbated by rapidly expanding urban centers. But that's not to say we're all doomed. The study says the rate of subsidence is slowing enough to allow for changes to be made to correct course.
So the biggest takeaway is the subsidence is a slow but a steady hazard that impacts almost everywhere that we looked at. The good news is that the rate of land subsidence that we observed are relatively slow. It means we have plenty of time to create adaptation and mitigation strategies to combat a possible catastrophic outcome that may impact our cities within a decade or two.
In San Diego, Evan Narani, CBS 8.